In the film Born Free, Elsa wasn't just given the wild one day. No, she went through months of consistent trial and error and supervision and checking in on her so that they knew she would survive. So, why are people treating AI like you can just let it go free? Because it can't.
Pour a cup of clarity, sip a spark of insight. Coffee with karma, your morning feels just right.
Your use of AI isn't about wild and unsupervised versus locked in a cage and never used. There's a nice middle ground. And in this episode of Coffee with Karma, I'm going to give you 5 principles that will help you find that middle ground for you, just as Joy and George did with Elsa. Hi, my name is Carma Spence, and I'm in the wrong book prevention business. I work with established experts to help them write the right book and market it the right way so that it achieves the goals they want for that book, whether that's more clients, more stages, better partners, or all of the above, or some hybrid. Before we go on, please like this video, comment below, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that the YouTube algorithm knows that videos like these are for people like you who want to grow their business with books. Principle number 1, show up hands on before you step back. Joy and George were present throughout the process, not just at the finish line. They were there so that if something went wrong, they could protect her, help her. In fact, one time they released her for like a week or something because there was a storm and they couldn't get back to her. And when she came back, she'd clearly been in a fight. Thankfully, she didn't die in that fight, but it's like stuff they couldn't predict happen. And they were there to help nurse her back to health and then gently get her back out in the wild again. And even though the movie ends once she is released for a year and they come back and she's fine and has babies, cute little baby lion cubs, there was a whole series of books that Joy wrote, and they continually went and visited her because she was special to them. I can't even imagine my poor little kitty cat. If if something happened to me and he was released in the wild, I don't know what he'd do. The last time he was in the wild, we lived in California. We now live in Minnesota. He doesn't know what to do with snow. Anyway, AI is kind of like that. You got to think of AI as kind of like an intern who's like fresh out of high school, a very smart, probably a prodigy intern that's fresh out of high school. But you need to watch what it does, train and retrain. For example, I have a skill that I've built in Claude that helps me convert content that I've used for the week into all the social media that isn't as important to me, like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. It just basically takes my words and zhuzhes it for those formats, for those platforms. And a couple of weeks ago, I shared an image that I took at the Toys R Us store where I'm inside of a little Barbie thing. And of course, Barbie's brand color is pink. So for some reason that week, she just went all crazy on pink. Everything was pink. And so I said, no, pink. Pink is not a part of my brand. It was part of that one photo. Okay. So now for the past several weeks, every time she gives me an image suggestion, she says, no pink. No pink. I'm like, duh, just use my brand colors. You don't need to tell me no pink. I know no pink. So a couple weeks ago, I said, can you please remove that? It didn't get removed. She's still saying no pink, no pink, no pink. It's so annoying because duh. So this morning, I was working with my AI chief of staff, something I'm actually building to help other people with it is such a blessing to me to fix that in her skill. And it turned out she had no reference point of my brand colors. So rather than telling her to stop telling me no pink, we just said, these are my brand colors. Choose from them. I'm not too sure how that didn't get into the skill the first time. I thought I put it in there, but I'm human. But you'll see, honestly, every time they upgrade a model, I have to retrain everything to some degree because the new model interacts with my skill or my GPT, which, by the way, you can't use anymore. Well, you can use them, but you can't build them anymore unless you're in the really high end. And they've stopped that. But every time there's a new model, you have to retrain the AI skills that you have because it interacts with it differently. So you can never really be fully hands off. There needs to be a human double checking the work. And honestly, would you be 100% hands off with your employees? Not really. I was an editor, the editor, an award winning editor of multiple publications. And I always had a second pair of eyes. And it wasn't because my boss didn't trust me. She almost never had edits to my work because I did good work. But there's always that one time when I might miss something. Always have a second pair of eyes. And just because the first pair of eyes is AI doesn't mean it's perfect, because believe me, AI is not perfect. It is a prediction engine. It's not thinking like the way a human does. Principle number 2, release doesn't mean disappear, which I was just talking about. Joy and George kept coming back to check on Elsa in the wild long after the release moment. And you need to do that with AI as well. You need to put into your cadence, yes, it can be autonomous for certain tasks, for certain things, for certain time frames, but you need to be double checking their work. I'm not going to name names, but I know a few people who have given AI free rein on certain tasks. And when they were in the loop, the quality was really good. As soon as they came out of the loop, the quality started going down. A lot of slop was getting through, which is really off brand for them. So I'm not saying you need to be like micromanaging your AI, but you do need to be checking in every once in a while. In fact, honestly, I think nothing should be published. I don't think AI should automatically create content and then publish it. I think that is a very, 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 very bad idea because slop happens. And it's not because you weren't careful. It's because that's the way AI drifts. It drifts more than a human drifts. Number 3, match the training to what you're trying to raise. Elsa's preparation was specific to her. It wasn't generic lion training. They had raised Elsa, so they understood Elsa. And so they were doing things to help Elsa. If they had had another lion, the training may have been a little bit different. So the same thing. It's like I have a bunch of named skills. Daniel, he's my chief of staff. And the way I interact with him is very different than the way I interact with Stan, Sterling, Aiden, Blaine, Sally, Lisa, Lena, Emma. They all have specific tasks, and I need to interact with them differently depending on the needs of that task. Principle number 4, the relationship doesn't end when the system starts working. Elsa surviving in the wild didn't end Joy and George's involvement in her life. And just because your AI is getting it right today doesn't mean it won't flub up tomorrow. Like I said earlier, every time there's a model update, bam, many of my skills just start acting wonky or differently. Sometimes better, but more often than not, what the heck's going on there? I mean, I've had them work week after week after week, and then all of a sudden, what's this? And honestly, that's often the same thing with a human, but less often, less often. Principle number 5, freedom without oversight isn't kindness, it's abandonment. The film's tension lives right there, that because Elsa wasn't raised in the wild, she didn't necessarily know how to function in the wild. Yes, she had instincts and she was able to make that transition, but she may not have been able to. I've heard lots of stories where an animal, they attempted to release it back into the wild and it just couldn't do it. For example, once upon a time, I did an entire summer internship at the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito, California. And during my time there were two sea lions that had to be rehomed. We took care of them. Basically, the theme parks that they were a part of were going bankrupt, and so these animals need to be rehomed, and they couldn't be released in the wild. For example, Froggy liked to balance balls on his nose. You can't do that in the wild and survive. So it was very clear he was fully tamed and couldn't go out in the wild. So we had to go find him a new home. We ended up finding both Froggy and Oliver a new home in Spain. Unfortunately, on the flight to Spain, Oliver died because he had an infection that the vets had not identified. But Froggy did get rehomed at the zoo in Spain, and as far as I know, he's still there. I don't know. But anyway, some animals can't be released in the wild, others can. And so with Elsa, they gave it a shot and it worked. It worked. But there was still a part of her that knew those humans and wanted to say hello every once in a while. In fact, I've seen videos on YouTube where someone had raised a lion and then they go out in the wild, the lion sees them, comes running at them, gives them a big hug, which I must admit would be kind of scary because you don't know, is he running at you because he wants to eat you or is he running at you to kiss you? Who knows? And sometimes these animals don't know their own size. How many people have been wounded by chimpanzees that they raise because a chimpanzee is a lot stronger than a human? Just saying, I'm going off topic here. But AI is not much different. You need to work in tandem with it. You need to work with it, supervising it, going back and forth. There's a back and forth. You can't just release AI into the wild and hope for the best. Every time I've seen someone do that, I've seen the quality drop. I have yet to see it work 100% of the time. So that's what I've got for you today. In my next episode, I'm going to be pulling from the film War of the Gargantuas, which is kind of a fun kaiju film. And I will be giving you 3 steps to raise your AI systems like Sanda, the good golden one, and not Gyra, the evil green one. So until then, this is Carma Spence saying, ciao for now.
Bloopers!
Good morning. Yes, it's still morning. I've had some unexpected things happen at the last minute last night, and so it's kind of thrown me off this morning, but that's okay. I'm here, and here I am. So, we are starting another quirky week where every episode uses the lens of a film that was released the year of my birth, because next week I turn 60. I still can't believe it. Sounds weird. What happened in my 50s and my 40s and my 30s? I'm still 20 something, right? No, 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 I'm not. Now, just as a preamble, the film I'm using as my lens today is Born Free, which takes place in Kenya. My memories begin in Kenya. We moved there when I was 3 or 4, somewhere around there, and all my memories begin there. So while I rewatched the film to refresh my memory about the story, and the entire time I was crying. I was crying because it's about animals and I'm a suck. Oh my gosh. I listened to Old Yeller on an album once. I will never see the film. I not a dry eye. Just I can't. Heck, Fancy Feast commercials make me cry. Hallmark commercials make me cry. I am a free crier, I guess. Anyway, and then there's the nostalgia effect. Something I noticed about 10, 15 years ago is now whenever I feel nostalgia, I cry. It didn't used to be that way, but it is that way now. And I find that kind of annoying because, like, I can't even sing songs now anymore without crying. And they're not even sad songs, they just bring up the feeling of nostalgia. I don't know if that's something that just happens as you get older. No one warned me. Anyway, let's go. You probably don't care.